Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So on today's episode of Let's Talk Positive Vibes Only, we are going to be discussing the 5 signals to look out for on a good first date. So we did an episode last week which talked about first date etiquette. So this is just a follow-up video. So the first thing is body language. I think body language is very telling in how a person feels in a certain situation. For example, on a date, if the person is making eye contact with you, then that's obviously a good sign because it shows that they are interested in what you have to say. What do you think?
Yeah, I think body language is really important, especially with a first date and eye contact, because I think that's the way in which we communicate on a first date. You know, we were kind of laughing and joking last video about how with a first date we're not always communicative in what we're saying because we don't want to lay everything out on the line on the first date, you know. So we're not just saying, I'm really enjoying this date, I really like you, you know. So in that sense, body language becomes really important, like you said, in knowing whether a first date is going well or not, because I think that is ultimately the way in which we communicate with each other on a first date. It's through our body language, our eye contact. That is what really shows, I think, our level of interest.
Yeah, so if someone is looking around the room, for example, when you're chatting with them, as you know, looking down or on their phone or something like that, then I don't really think. I think it kind of signifies how they feel about the situation. I don't think that it shows a level of interest in you know the current situation. So I think it's very important, you know, to be engaged with the person when you're on a first date.
Yeah, absolutely. It just shows a level of indifference, doesn't it? And I think it says that they're not quite enjoying the date. For example, like you said, if they're on their phone or something like that. Whereas I think if their body language is like open and positive and they're focused on you and they're engaged, then that can only mean that things are going very well. Number 2 is something that leads on from body language and eye contact, and that's questions with kind of thought and intent behind them. So I don't think it's just being asked questions for the sake of being asked questions, you know, like going through the motions. But if there's questions that are being asked that actually suggest that there's been a level of thought put behind them, and it suggests that the person is very much interested in knowing more about you, then I think that is a good sign as well.
Okay, so number 3 is values and interests. So if you share the same values as the person, I think it's a very good sign. So when I'm talking about values, for example, if you both agree on a specific topic or something of significance to a relationship. So for example, if you're both in agreement on the fact that cheating is a no-go, for example, then that's a good sign, because it shows that you're both, you know, you both share that value. You're both on the same sort of path in terms of you know how you see a relationship evolving. So I think that's a good sign. Yeah,
definitely. And I think oftentimes we can feel quite hesitant to be asking questions like that, or kind of entering that territory of kind of those bigger type themes and issues, if you like. You know, so for example, like having children. And when I say that, I don't mean like on the first date having a child with that person, but more generally speaking, your stance on children and whether you want to have children one day in the future. I think sometimes we can feel quite hesitant to have those type of conversations, but actually I think it's quite important to be having those conversations and asking those questions from early on, because it saves everyone a lot of time. And like you said, it's ultimately sharing those same values, isn't it? Yeah,
and I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. If you know that you want to have kids in the future and this person perhaps says, I don't want kids, then you know then there's no point in taking it any further, because you don't want the same thing. So I don't think there's anything wrong in finding out those things on a first date. It's not necessarily about asking, do you want kids? Do you want to get married? You know, anything like that. But just, you know, having, just figuring out what it is that connects you, basically.
Yeah, for example, I've been on a date in the past. It wasn't the first date, but it was very early on. I think it was the second date, and I remember the woman saying to me that she hated kids. That she doesn't want kids. And from that moment, I realised, okay, well, this is never going to be anything serious, because one of the things I want in life is to have kids. So you're right, you know, it's really about establishing and understanding whether you share those same kind of core values around those kind of big factors in life.
Yeah, definitely. And it's something just as simple as someone perhaps saying, oh, I'm not sure I'm looking for anything, I don't know if I actually want a relationship, you know, in the future. If that's something that you want, if you want a relationship at some point, then you kind of know at that point whether or not it's worth investing more time. If this person has made some of those, you know, those things clear. If those values aren't the same as yours, then, you know, there's you know not to carry on.
So if you find that you're sharing those same values through the conversations that you're having and the questions that are being asked, then that can only be a good sign, can't it? Of a good first date, because it shows that you're compatible. But you were also saying about interest, right? Yeah,
so interest. So even you know, having the same interest as the person that you're on a date with. So if, for example, you have the same hobbies, you know, you like the same music, or you like, you know, you both like dance, or you both love film, or, you know, there's finding things that are appealing to both of you is also exciting as well. Exactly, I think that kind of signifies good things.
Yeah, absolutely. So number 4 is emotional response. And when I say that, I don't mean someone bursting out crying and leaving the coffee shop or the restaurant where you're at, because that's certainly not a good sign of not a good sign of a good first date. But what I mean when I say emotional response is more in terms of laughter. I think is something that comes straight to mind, and just like smiling and happiness and laughter, of course, is, you know, is showing, I think, a level of interest and engagement and enjoyment. So just those kind of, again, because we're not necessarily communicating explicitly on a first date verbally, so it's these other ways of communication. So our emotional response to things, you know, are we laughing to this person's jokes, even if they're not very good, which is something that you have to do a lot. I'm sorry about that. But, you know, it shows. It shows that there is something positive happening.
I think definitely emotional responses are, you know, a key kind of factor in knowing whether a date is going well. Because if, I guess, someone is just sat there really dully and just not engaged,
just
or
like
bored, half asleep, looking around, looking for it, like just no interest whatsoever, then
if there's like no emotional responses to anything, I think it shows a level of certainly a level of disinterest. So number 4 is emotional response.
And the last one, number 5, we think, is a follow-up text. Very simple. So, you know, after you've been on a date, if the person texts you thanking you for your company and follows up by saying, you know, let's do it again sometime, then that obviously shows that, you know, they want to see you again. They want to get to know you more, and that's obviously a very good sign.
I think that's like the ultimate good sign, isn't it? I mean, you can't get anything better than that. If someone has texted you and explicitly said,
I got a text!
Is that how you reacted when I messaged you after our first date?
No, that's a Love Island reaction.
Oh, wow. Wow. I had no idea. See, I don't watch Love Island, so... Oh, god damn. Now I seem like Now I seem like someone like in the 80s or something, like who has never seen any TV shows. Is that what you did then? When we went on our first date, was it?
I
had no idea that was from
Obviously, I was excited when I got a message from you after.
Yeah.
Not quite that reaction, but.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the 5 things that we think signify a good first date. If you agree, then comment, let us know. If you don't agree, comment, let us know.
And also if there's any other
things
that
to look out for that we've missed out, then please do let us know. Again, if you enjoyed this video, please do like it, subscribe, comment, and look out for another video coming soon. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again in another video. Bye.